Last Monday I uploaded a video that showed off my incomparable PC building skills with my excellent cable management prowess. If you haven't watched that video, you can click here, and of course the link is also down below in the description box. However, that video was just the build process and offered no explanation as to the parts that I bought or didn't buy, or the performance increases, or lack thereof, that I saw. Which brings us to today. First, I want to talk about why I chose the parts I chose and why I didn't upgrade other elements. As far as what I did upgrade, there's a new processor, motherboard, and RAM, and also a new DVD drive. Same case, power supply, hard drives, and graphics card. But you can sum up the reasons why I chose what I chose with one word: price. As every builder knows, you start off with the CPU. What CPU you pick dictates your motherboard socket and the type of RAM you can use. So the processor I picked was the AMD Athlon X4 845. I picked it due to its newness, its power draw, but mostly its price. And since I am almost exclusively using this computer for gaming, I don't really care how much better an Intel processor is at CPU tasks, since all the cheap Intel processors perform about as well or even slightly less well than this bad boy. I'm also a big supporter of the underdog, and that happens to be AMD in the CPU market and the graphics card market. As for buying another AMD CPU, one that might have graphics built in or more raw power, well, price was the biggest motivator here. It performs about as well as some of the higher end APUs perform, but for like half the price. Also, it's 65 watts, and most, if not all, AMD FX processors are 95 watts. Now my CPU led me to the motherboard. I picked a Biostar motherboard because it was the cheapest. No other reason. Same with the RAM. I wanted 8 gigabytes of RAM, and I wanted 2 sticks in case one stick decides to fail for whatever reason, and that was the cheapest option. It also helped that I got 10% off my whole purchase at Newegg, so I saved about $13. Win-win. The lone oddity was the DVD drive. There was a DVD drive in this computer back when it was my dad's computer, but that broke. And when I took possession of the computer when he got his new one, I honestly just didn't see a reason to buy one. And then Assassin's Creed Syndicate was only $16.50 on Amazon for the physical copy, compared to, at that time, $60 for the digital copy. Also, it's never really a bad thing to have a DVD drive. I deliberately did not upgrade my graphics card at this time because I'm either waiting for AMD to release the RX 460 or Nvidia to release whatever they're going to release that competes with it. So that was why I bought what I bought, but what kind of performance increases did I see? So 2013 Tomb Raider is a game that I am pretty sure could run on a Pentium 4 processor if you could figure out a way to run Windows 7 on a Pentium 4 processor. So with my old system, I was getting somewhere between 35 and 45 frames per second. Very playable. And with this new system, I'm seeing between 40 and 50. Not a big jump, but then again, Tomb Raider is a GPU-bound game. So Dishonored, a game that I just discovered in May and quickly became one of my all-time favorites, was already hitting a consistent 60 frames per second. Both of those games are older games, so I'm not surprised to see a significant increase here. And this was the case with a lot of my games. Frame rates really didn't increase a substantial amount. Either I was already getting a really solid frame rate, or I saw maybe a 5 to 10 increase. Now, the games I did see an increase in were the Assassin's Creed Chronicles trilogy, which, by the way, are much better than the critics say they are. Just FYI. So before I was hitting about 40 frames per second, it wasn't staying there, but I was getting up to that point. But now I easily hit 60 frames per second and stay there. So where I saw the biggest gaming increase was loading times. Some games there was very little improvement, but both Chronicles and Dishonored are built on the Unreal Engine, and both do something very interesting after the loading screen. The game, immediately after the loading screen, initially loads very low-res textures, and then loads in the high-res textures. Now before, this would take between 1 and 2 seconds. Not a long time, but noticeable. With the new build, the time is almost instantaneous. Also, games that autosave would occasionally lag when they were saving, and now there's almost no lag. Truthfully, the biggest increase I saw overall was with Windows 10, which was struggling under the weight of the old system, mostly I think because it only had 2 gigs of RAM. Before, it was a slow and unresponsive monster, and now it's lean and mean. I still have to upgrade my graphics card, but even with just the upgrades I've seen so far, I'm satisfied. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.